All right, welcome back to, this is a double feature. We got Walpole Public Access. We also are airing for the 1 Point Perspective podcast. We're sitting down with Kieran Stover, who is the director, editor, cinematographer, kind of the man with the plan for Dirty Disking 2
Yes.
Ultimate. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you. Where we kind of start with this is we just talk about how did you become involved with the film festival?
Mm-hmm.
What was that process for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I remember the first time I heard the film festival was through my brother. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he worked on a few movies. He was more into like the sound type of area. He was big into music, like he played guitar.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where I first kind of found out about the film festival and the film program. His girlfriend at the time was a director. I believe she made out at the 17th annual, 16th annual, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I heard about it, and they're kind of the ones who got me onto like film.
Mm-hmm.
I started like, making videos when I was younger, just like messing around, having fun. And then when I got to the high school, I was walking down the hallway and I saw Mr. Allen. I was just like, oh, he runs the film program. So I talked to him. I was just like, hey, Mr. Allen, how do I get on a film crew? And then he just told me to come after school one day. Where he introduced me to Jess Elmhurst and Juliana Webster. So yeah, I worked with them on their movie. I'm blanking on the name. It's the Catching the Kazoo. They changed it a few times.
Pascal, the Crazy Kazooer.
Yeah.
The epic tale of Pascal, the Crazy Kazooer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I worked on that movie with them.
And that was your freshman year.
That was my freshman year. So it was a lot of fun. It got cut short because of COVID. I didn't play a huge role in it. I just held the boom. But then
Sounds
my sophomore
important.
year,
Yeah, it is.
my sophomore year, I worked on the sneakers with CJ.
Yeah.
It was his sophomore independent. We had a lot of fun with that. And then I took the class for the first time this year, and we came up with Dirty Disking 2.
And you did summer film too.
I did do
Over the
summer film.
That was, yeah.
I've done that twice. I did that going to my sophomore and junior year.
Yeah. This is one thing. And you took TV with Mr. O'Farrell.
Yeah, that is true.
So, this is something that you are super invested in. And that is very clear with the product that you put out. I think you do a very good job. I was fortunate enough to be working like side by side with you on this movie this year as one of the actors. And just the attention to detail that you put into it is massive. And the fact that you're just a junior now and you've been doing it since freshman year is huge, because I'm really excited to see what next year holds for you.
Uh-huh.
Now this year, you personally are nominated for what, 3 awards?
Yes,
3 out of the 8, yeah.
3 out of the 6 that we were nominated for.
Yeah, so it's director, editing, and cinematography.
Yeah.
We've heard a lot of good comments about all 3 of those areas on your behalf. And do you want to just talk about what was unique for you about maybe this year's movie, Dirty Disking 2, versus what you've been doing in the past, or how those past experiences have helped you with this year's movie?
Yeah, for sure. So I had actually before this year, I hadn't had too much experience having my own project in like the film world. Like I took TV one my freshman year, and I've done work with Walpole Media, making like news stories, like TV packages, that type of thing. And then I did work with CJ, co-directing his movie. But I mean, like that was kind of a lot more of CJ's movie, just because like he's the one who was actually in class doing that. So Dirty Disking 2 was my first movie where it was where I was like the sole director. It was going into that, turning that script into my vision.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was definitely a huge change. It was definitely different because it was the first like fiction piece, I guess, that you could say.
Yeah.
That I had done. So it was definitely a challenge, but I also enjoyed it a lot. I mean, like it's not like I hadn't like seen a film script before. But yeah, it was definitely challenging. There's a steep learning curve to it, but it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot from it.
Yeah, I think that one thing that you had from the beginning too was you had a vision for what is this movie going to look like and how are we going to film it. I remember just being impressed. I thought it was going to be, point and shoot, because that's what a lot of kids that, like you said, it's your first time doing it. A lot of people on their first time doing it, that's kind of what it is. It's like, all right, let's just make sure it's not blurry and they're on the third. But you're like, oh, no, I want this scene, I want them to feel pressured, and you're like, we're going to make sure we're tight on this. I want this to be a moving shot. I want this to be a tracking shot. And that's those shots, and scene 2 for us, but it's the tracking me from coming out of the school and then out to the shed where I, turn back into a psycho. That is like watching that whole thing. A lot of people commented that they were really impressed, and seeing this is your first go at it by yourself. Like I'm really excited for next year. We won't talk about that now because we're still on this year, but but yeah, so that was really cool that you just had this vision. You're like, these are the shots I want for this. Like all the process that we go through, the marking up the script, storyboarding, all of that stuff, writing a vision, that's stuff that you took seriously. And I think it definitely translated to the final product. And obviously it's you're doing a lot of it as the director and cinematographer and on the editing side, but you had a crew as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to chat about the people on your crew and
absolutely
working with them?
Yeah, we had a stacked crew this year. It was really nice to have. I guess I'll start out on the cinematography side. We were actually able to do kind of like a dual capture setup. So we had Andrew Gibson on that. He had his own camera and tripod setup, which was really helpful, but it really made a lot of the shoots a lot more quick and easier to get done and get through with, which was especially helpful. I mean, I believe our movie is the longest movie in the festival this year by a long shot. So yeah, we had a lot of content to cover, and I mean, having that extra set of hands, that extra pair of eyes, it really helped in both, I mean, like getting through the scenes quick, but also being able to take our time with getting the shots that we want, getting the feel that we want with each scene. Yeah. I guess I'll go on the line again. Toby Moses, huge help. It was his script, he wrote it. A lot of the jokes in there are his. I mean, like we have like little references to the old movie, but like this movie plays for a new audience just as much as it does for people who know of Dirty Disking, and a lot of that comes from Toby and his writing in that script. And then I also talked to him a lot about like what his vision was when he was writing this script, just what he kind of saw it to turn out into, and it proved to be very helpful. And like it was kind of both of us figuring out how we want this movie to come out in the end. What was the end product going to look like? We have John Salarda, another film festival veteran. He's worked on numerous movies. I couldn't tell you which ones because I don't know the names of the movies very well.
Last year we were very impressed with his work on The Present.
That's right.
Which he did. Yeah. He acted. There was 2 parts he acted, and he directed it, edited it, filmed it all by himself because he was staying at home, and that was impressive. Like having just having, like you said, a stacked crew. You also had Whitey. Brian White. And he was very helpful, added a little bit of humor to the set too, which is always nice. Yeah. But mentioning something that you brought up is you guys wanted to make this movie a standalone movie. There is a movie, Dirty Disking, the original back from 2008, that obviously this is based off of. But I think one thing that everybody wanted was that we want anybody watching this to be able to watch it straight through without seeing the first one and have it make sense and have it be funny and have it accomplish what we were looking for. And I think you nailed that, which is very hard. I think you guys did a great job. But I mean, so all right, junior year for you, man. We got you next year, but anybody this year or crew, past, present, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I don't know. That's tough. There's a lot of people who kind of like brought me to this point. I mean, like honestly, I would say you. I mean, teaching summer film. Teaching summer film. Just having that like experience in the summer. That was really formative. I mean, for me as a director and as a filmmaker. having that experience, having great instruction, having that time to work with you on certain projects. Of course, Mr. Allen, always being there, always supporting us, keeping us on track. And I guess, I mean, like all of our the crews that I worked on in the past, you know, like Juliana Webster, Jess Elmhurst, CJ. Yeah, I mean, like having that first-hand experience, being on a set, and kind of watching them and learning from them. I just learned a lot from being around them, and I try to like translate that into my work this year with Dirty Disking.
That's what it's all about. We hope people learn from, you know, the older students, and so next year, like you said, you'll be a senior. Hopefully some kid will be sitting in this seat saying, oh yeah, Kieran Stover, you know, like he was huge in helping me. I'm assuming that will be the case. And this is something, like I said, you want to do. You know, this is a field you're very interested in. You know, and I think if you continue with this work ethic, very promising. I mean, you can definitely, you definitely have a great feel for it, a great vision for it. And I'm really excited for tomorrow night. I hope you have some speeches ready. I have a feeling, you know, that there's a good chance you could be up there giving a speech. So you did really impressive. I mean, we didn't really talk about the editing at all. There's some couple tricks, but we'll save that for your speech. We'll have these people tune in. So again, this is Walpole Media and 1 Point Perspective podcast. Dirty Disking 2 Ultimate Coconut Director Kieran Stover. Everyone, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right, of course.
Appreciate it.
All right.